to the island place before the rest of us could disembark. It took forever, but luckily, as you saw, I was fished out of the crush in the customs shed by some chap in uniform, or I'd be there still. Wasn't even searched. Evelyn nodded in the direction of her suitcase on the front seat. I might have had anything in there. What happened to your trunk? Carson here looked everywhere, but it appears to have gone AWOL. They said to keep personal effects to a minimum. There was talk of a berth on a submarine at one point. Golly, what have you got in there, anyway? 2 nighties, a Hungarian phrase book, and a pound of finest Ceylon? Can't hold much more, surely. Ah, well, not to worry. Lots to get through. She looked at her wristwatch. The original plan was to debrief you over at HQ, but we reckoned without the huddled masses slowing everything down and queering the timetable. She opened her pocketbook and produced a slim deck of buff-coloured index cards. Now, while I remember, you'll need to fill in one of these. She handed Evelyn an official-looking form. New thing. You need to register as an alien with the post office within the next 30 days. Height, weight, fingerprints, all that. Purely a formality. We've all had to do it. There's a bit asking whether you've had anything to do with organisations devoted to furthering the political activities of foreign governments, which you haven't. So you can tick have not with a clear conscience. And you have signed the you-know-what, haven't you? London said you had. Evelyn nodded, and the other woman lowered her voice to a mutter barely audible above the thunder of 8th Avenue traffic. You'll have to leave the address bit blank for the moment, I'm afraid. The thing is, she looked embarrassed, there's been a bit of a mix-up. A few months ago, our Colonel Peyton from HQ chummed up with this Anglo-Hungarian film chap and spent quite a bit of time over in Hollywood in hopes of getting him to help out on the propaganda front. You didn't hear me say that, obviously. They take their neutrality very seriously over here. One whiff of any of this, and Saucy and his film producer friend would be back in Blighty before you could say un-American activities. Saucy? Colonel Peyton? Henry Percival Peyton? Evelyn looked blank. H.P.? Like the sauce? Anyway, the chap said he'd play ball, and so Saucy took to whizzing back and forth to Los Angeles, seeing how the land lay. This was all well and good up to a point, but Saucy soon spotted that those studio men won't give you the time of day if you drive your own car or answer your own telephone, and said he'd need some sort of aide-de-camp, preferably a linguist. Practically everyone in Hollywood hails from foreign parts, and they all tend to talk amongst themselves, rather, which left Saucy at something of a disadvantage. Anyhow, Kiss was all in favour. He's frightfully keen on prestige, as he calls it, and volunteered to hire someone at his own expense. Kiss? Kiss? Did London not brief you? He's a film producer, Hungarian Jew by the name of Zandor Kiss. Each syllable handled like a caterpillar being tweezed from a salad. Kiss would have gone ahead and hired someone locally, but Saucy wanted to be certain of their loyalty, so he arranged, unofficially, to have London muck in and scan the files for a suitable polyglot, all madly unorthodox. After the usual delays, a wire was received saying that they'd selected E. Murdoch of Postal Censorship for the task. Meticulous bureaucrat, no family ties, 9 languages. Might have known you were too good to be true, but it was only when one of our Lisbon friends got in touch that we realised you weren't actually a man. And by that time the Mouginho was halfway to the Azores. Red faces all round. I was interviewed in person by a Major Bannister, protested Evelyn. Twice. She smiled at the memory. After a few paper preliminaries, a German prose, translate Jabberwocky into Italian, usual pedagogic larks, she'd been wheeled in for personal assessment. However did you come by so many languages? Marvelled the Major, whose own skills were taxed by the menu at Prunier. I had a knack for it, said Evelyn. Became a sort of habit after a while. You seem to have spent quite a bit of time abroad. He looked up from her file. Rather unusual. Evelyn's unusual facility had been revealed quite by chance at the age of 3, when she had regaled the lunch table with all 8 verses of Alouette. Her late father soon discovered that a child he'd hitherto found uninteresting combined a swotty willingness to memorise irregular verbs with a parrot-like ability to repeat whatever was said to her. The Reverend Charles Dent had always taken the parable of the talents very much to heart and felt it was incumbent on all of them to make the very most of his daughter's surprising gift. He set about teaching her Latin, with the aid of a handwritten textbook of his own devising,